All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So if you don't know who I am, I'm Courtney Brown Jr., co-owner of Loudmouth Sports Talk and Loudmouth Sports Group. With us tonight, we have Damian Sanucci from Dame Calls Game. We have Robbie Phillips from Ahead of the Curve. And then we have our man, the myth, the legend, off the top rope himself, Sean Evans. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Yep,
How y'all doing?
been better. Seen better
Yep.
days.
Yeah, I think we all have that same taste in our mouths. And I thought it was perfect for us to take advantage of with everything going on, for us to come together as a family because that's where we are at Loudmouth. And I don't just say that because we're on live. We all are family, and we all talk to each other about everything, whether it's social justice things, whether it's anything related to life. We talk about, and so I feel like as the admins and moderators of both Loudmouth and Loudmouth Sports Talk, we all have seen the drastic turn of events in all of the sports leagues that are in season right now. With that said, Loudmouth Sports Talk would like to mention that we stand in agreement and solidarity of the fact that Black lives do matter. Us as admin would like this message to be heard thoroughly and understood as clearly as possible. We will not tolerate disrespect of anyone's personal character, regardless of your stance on the issue at hand. We understand what is happening in the recent months have impacted many lives and brought stress to a lot of people. However, we will make sure that what is posted on our page stays sports related. Understanding that arguments will happen regardless, we ask of you as members of the group to stay as respectful as possible. Jokes of people's favorite teams and or players are unavoidable because that happens in sports. But we beg of you to stay off of going at people's character. Also, that when things like this, like these protests are going on, we fully back the decisions of athletes who are just as, if not more affected personally by people who look at them that are being wrongfully murdered. Um, for George and I, um, obviously us being co-owners, him being black, him being white, we're on opposite spectrums. But we agree on probably 99% of things in life. There's not a lot of things that me and George disagree on. And it's a respect factor. And for all of us, we have every color, every race in our group. And I feel like the message gets misconstrued because people feel like when we tell somebody, oh, like what happened in the group today, we people feel like because we're telling them that it's not sports related, that we're being wrong or we're playing one side. We're playing no. And honestly, I don't think there's a side that needs to be played. Which will lead us into this conversation, man, where I feel like they want athletes to just shut up and just make millions of dollars and that solves everything. And I think Paul George came out and what he said was so real to life. And he talked about how he had been depressed and in a hole because there's no fans and the fact that he's been away from his family and the fact that he just everything going on in the world, people just think it stops soon as they get on the basketball court. But what a lot of people don't feel, and it hits me personally because as everybody knows, I just served in the United States Marine Corps. And I feel like when I took off my uniform, I was not treated the same as if people see me in my uniform. And there's a huge difference, and people don't understand the feeling of like knowing that this guy hates my guts and he doesn't even know me, but because I'm wearing a piece of cloth, and when I say piece of cloth, I don't mean it's just a piece of cloth to me, but because I'm wearing a jacket or any type of whatever I wear, that now he respects me because it's the uniform, but he still hates me as a person because the color of my skin. Um, and me and Damien, we've had these talks. Robbie, we had these talks. Sean, we've had these talks. So I'm gonna let Damon and whoever else go ahead and talk about it, man, because it really hurts. Like that's the biggest thing to take away from it from me. It's like it hurts the fact that we still have to fight for like people to respect us. Like we respect everybody based off of how they treat us, but other people respect us off of what we can do for them and provide for them. And if we can't provide, then we're not important. But if we provide, they can tolerate us, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, I mean, for me, like you said, it hurts, and even for me, it hurts. Um, I've grown up character wise, and I was raised to respect everyone, no matter what race, color, religion, creed, sexual orientation. But my lifelong best friend, he's a young black man. He's 23, just like you, Court, 23, 24. Um, and being raised by my parents, being raised by his parents, because like I said, lifelong best friend. You'd learn a lot from other parents outside of your own. Um, and just hearing the situation with his single mom, because his parents are separated, but he has a fatherly figure in his house. But hearing his mom always tell him that because of his skin color or because of what he looks like, he has to, in public, act a certain way, because if he doesn't act this said certain way, um, people won't just give him the respect that he deserves, like me or like someone else who would look like me would get. Um, and obviously, it affects everybody who looks like that, everybody with brown skin, everybody with black skin. Um, and professional sports, the NBA, NFL, um, and even the MLB really is run by people of color, like athlete wise. Um, so to just assume, I guess, certain people just assume that it doesn't affect them because they're making all this money. They have to live carefree. Like they don't have to care about what I have to care about in terms of what I can get, what I can afford. Um, just because they have that money, it doesn't solve personal issues. Um, that could be their kid, that could be their brother, their sister, could be my best friend. Um, so I guess just them kneeling, like Courtney said, we all understand, we all back their decision to protest their games, their seasons, if that. Um, because it's not just something that's, oh, it's just news, so they want to talk about it. No, it's like serious issue to them. Um, so I just don't understand. And again, we don't want any disrespect being said about people's personal character. Um, so yeah.
Robbie?
I mean, it's just I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it as an American. I'm tired of seeing division in this country like this, and I'm tired of seeing it separate further when folks with a platform, who I feel are obligated to use their platform, choose to use it. Once you attain a level of fame, it's it's not just red carpets and Bentleys, and people who haven't attained that level of fame don't understand it. Once you have a platform, you're obligated to use it. And these players have causes, kind of a big fucking cause, that's for some reason still an issue for people to understand. Still an issue in this country to be grasped. And they have the platform to use it. I don't understand. They're told growing up, get big, get famous, get rich, make a difference. And then as soon as they try to make that difference, getting clapped back on, that's unfair. That's
Hey,
bullshit.
yeah, real quick. And Sean, I'm gonna let you go, I swear. But
Oh, go ahead.
the moment where and this is what hurts, because if an athlete uses his platform to send a message, oh, he needs to shut up and dribble. But we have a president of the United States who uses his platform to attack everybody who doesn't agree with him as the president of the United States. But those are the same people. If president and here's the and it bothers me so bad to the core, because I feel like we hurt so bad as a country. But the fact that, like, in a part that gets me, man, is everybody throws numbers at us where they're like, oh, well, the numbers is like 243 white people were killed by cops this year, and it was 200, or it was like 178 black people. Well, last time I checked, there are 13% of America is black, and how many is white? 64% of it. So
Over
if you
60%.
really look at,
Over 60%.
Yeah, over 60% is white. So if you really look at it, if 250 white people are killed, and that's 60%, compared to 179 black people, and it's 14%, I'm pretty sure the numbers aren't substantial. And it's like, how many times have you heard a story, no matter who you know, no matter who it is, where it's like, my nephew is 6 years old, and he went out with his mom, my sister, and he seen a cop, and he was walking past, and he goes, "Oh, mom, we got to go away, or they going to shoot us." And my sister's like, "No, Tay, why did you say that?" He goes, "Well, they're always shooting people, right? Shooting people." And it's so hard because it's like, what do you say to that? And people don't understand the severity, because like you said, it's like, it's literally like, we talk about it. Your job is to grow up. Like when in the hood, we talk about growing up, moving our moms out the hood and giving back to our community. But yet LeBron James has done it. And he moved. And if I remember, the year before he left for LA, he moved to Brentwood, and it was nigger painted out on his fence.
Yeah.
His $1 billion fence. So it's like, at the same time, it's like, no matter what, we attack no matter who you are. And the fact that, because he's LeBron James and he has millions of dollars, he's supposed to just shut up and accept the money and just go on and continue with it. And it hurts so bad, because it's like, people don't realize that if nobody notices it, it's LeBron James. He's just another black dude. If I take off my uniform, I'm just another black kid. I was in the United States Marine Corps. I drive a brand new car, a 2019 car, and I get pulled over just for the simple fact that I'm driving a new car in a neighborhood. And people don't understand the severity of, like, people's like, "Oh, you need to comply." I was driving with one of my friends in the Marine Corps, and he was driving, and he got pulled over and started screaming at the officer. And I'm begging him to shut the fuck up, because I'm like, yo, I'm like down. I'm not talking. I'm quiet. I'm cuddled up in a corner. Like, I'm fearing for my life. But the fact that there is no fear for this kid and he doesn't get treated as hostile, it's so scary, because if I get pulled over and I ask a simple question like, what do I do? What did I do wrong? I can't even get an explanation before somebody is doing something to me, forcing me to get out the car, forcing me not to be a person. And it's like, we seen in one video where the guy he was walking, he looked like the suspect, wasn't even from the same city. And they asked to show him his ID, he showed him, and he gets slammed and he breaks his wrist. Or you see the guy who he's complying, he got his hands up, he gets kicked in the back of his fucking chest, in the back of his back. Like, if we comply, we die. If we don't comply, we die. If we look a certain type of way, we die. At what point do we say enough is a fucking enough?
Yeah.
And it hurts because we have a president that still is inciting, and he loves it because the white people feed off of it. And it's not every white person. And you see it, like everybody said, the people from 40 and under that understands it because they've been integrated with a black person in their lives. And in some way, shape, or form, they've been in school, they grew up together, they loved each other. I had a friend who was in the Marine Corps, and prior to the Marine Corps, he was a racist. And he's one of my best friends now because he had no choice but to come together and understand him. And he's like, I don't even like this guy because I'm taught not to like this dude. You know what I mean? And so, Sean, you can go ahead and go, man. I'm sorry I took so long.
That's all right. No, so with all this going on, man, I mean, like piggybacking off of Dame, like growing up, man, like I grew up like in a time, like I'm obviously older than you guys. So like growing up for me, like I grew up in the 80s. I grew up like my mom and my dad was black. My mom's white. I grew up in a white family. So going to school was hard enough, you know, at that time, because whites don't like you because you're black. Blacks don't like you because you're white. So you're constantly picking and choosing, trying to figure out where you are in life. And that was hard for me. What I hate is that the change I see in the policing today. from when I was little, a police officer was your best friend, was the guy you go to when you want to feel safe. He was everything that you wanted to be him when you grew up, because he was a cool. He was a cool person because they had community policing at the time. I'm talking like when I was young. Police officers walked the beats. Police officer interacted with people and took care of their neighborhoods. That was then. I'm now. Everything has changed, and I don't know where it's changed. I don't know what happened, whether and I think I start from the top, and that's the FOP, and that's the union, and it's these old school cops who think like just kick them while they're down and they're criminals and that's all they are. They're nothing more than that. So, and you have these young guys getting fed that, like I have a degree in criminal justice. I was in law enforcement. I got fed that. They're criminals. That's all they do. They're wrong. If they don't comply, you make them comply. Well, if they still comply, you still make them comply more. Certain tactics that people use. And I think that's where it's gone wrong now, is went from a cop who walked the streets that you knew his name, they knew yours, you felt safe, he was the same beat every day, to now you have cops that are coming up wanting a gun just because they were bullied in high school. So now they have to have this like tough, I'm a tough man. I'm in power and you're not. And I that's the problem I'm having. And I have such a problem with watching like all these videos of police, just poor police tactics, the blacks dying every day from police. And don't give me that sad story that, hey, you're killing yourselves and we're not out there speaking. Like,
and I'm glad you please bring this
and
up.
I hate that. I hate when I hear it. I hate when I hear it too. I'm sorry, just real quick. I hate when I hear it because we've been fighting that from day one.
Yeah.
And nothing's been done. So don't try to bring that to a fight with me on a topic.
Before you go, I think I'll speak for my dad because I understand. I think I know what he'll be able to say. Because if he was on here, I believe this would be the story he would tell. My granddad was a chief of police for 30-something years. His brother, my uncle, was chief of police for another 17. My dad's uncle was a cop as well. When they were cops, when he was chief of police, it, like you said, Sean, it was so much different. My granddad, whenever he was chief, my dad was riding his bike past curfew in Coriopolis, for those of you who don't know, and he was pulled over or stopped by a cop, and the cop was ostracizing him for, oh, what the hell are you doing out so late? Like, what are you doing? Like, stop being a troublemaker. And he then like followed my dad home or took him home or whatever. And my dad had told my granddad, and my granddad said, okay, what the hell is his name? And my granddad being the chief of police, and this guy was a new officer, so he didn't know who my dad was, or didn't know really who my granddad was even. And my granddad took it upon himself as the chief of police to go and say, yo, like, this is not how you do it. Like, he's not doing anything. There's no reason for you to be such like an asshole. Like, it's stuff like that. Or my granddad had gained the respect of so many people as chief of police. And even back then, there was still certain clubs that are all black clubs or all white clubs, which in itself is awful. But my granddad was such a good officer, such a good person with a badge, that there was a call in one of the clubs because some guy illegally had a gun. My granddad and his partner, his name is Chick White, who was a black man. They showed up, and the bouncers at the club stopped them from going in because they were officers and didn't want any trouble. And he said, Chief Santucci, like, don't worry about it. We'll get it. Just hand us your cuffs and we'll bring him to you. They left my granddad and his partner outside, took the handcuffs, walked in, grabbed the dude, handcuffed him, brought him out to the police and said, all right, do what you got to do. Like, it's that kind of respect that has just been absolutely lost. And I don't know where to blame it. I don't know what cities to blame that trust being gone on. It just happens so much that it's unnecessary and it's ruined the relationship.
Well, let me tell you where it happens. We have this mentality that, oh, black people have, you have equal rights to be successful in life. Why are we still complaining? That's the mentality. And here's the problem. For 400 fucking years, we got treated like shit. So even when they gave us, what was the last right? Two of the last rights they gave black people was the vote and to carry arms, all right, and to carry weapons. Because they knew once you're able to fight back and once you're on an equal playing field, you're dangerous. And for me, it bothers me because we have to sit there and it's like, well, you got these rights, you got these rights. But we're 400 years behind. All these laws, all these rules, all these constitutions, they weren't wrote for us. The national anthem, we were slaves. The wars we fought in, World War I, World War II, where black people have died serving for a country to where they weren't even free. And when they came home, they got spit on, they got punched, they got kicked, they got hung, they got their houses burnt down. Doc Rivers. Do nobody remember that Doc Rivers, and we're speaking of him because his house got burned down when he was the coach of the Orlando Magic.
Yep.
Not everybody is. It's like, for some reason, we have this mentality that like, oh, well, black people we're equal. Really? So let's take like Damian said, 95% of the NBA is black. Maybe 90% of the NBA is black. Probably 80% of the NFL is black, yep. Right? How many minority owners are there? How many minority coaches or head coaches, right? As a whole. So we're talking about, oh, you're good enough to be a wide receivers coach. You're good enough to be the D-backs coach. You're good enough to be the quarterbacks coach. You're good enough to be the running backs coach. But we won't give you a chance to be the offense coordinator, the defense coordinator, or the head coach. And when you become the head coach, like Nate McMillan, we're not going to give you the same chance as fucking Luke Walton, who has done nothing for years and underachieved, but he gets a head coaching job everywhere he goes. Right? We got announcers like Mark Jackson, who built the Golden State Warriors, who drafted the Golden State Warriors, drafted Clay, drafted Steph, drafted Draymond, built that team. And then he got kicked off his own team that he built because they didn't give him a chance. And now they win all the titles and we forget about this man. That's what it's like being black, where you don't get the same chances that everybody else go. And we're okay with that. Growing up, I knew I would have to work 2 times as hard to get paid half as much. And I was okay with that. But just stop fucking killing us because you're scared of us. That's where the frustration comes in. Because everybody talks about me because I'm loud. People treat me like I'm this horrible person. Because I'm black. And I remember my fiance now, she said it to me, where she's like, Court, you can't even get loud with people because like they're scared of you. You're a 6-foot black dude talking to them. Stern. It's like they're scared. And it's like, you're more scared of my black skin than you are of a 17-year-old carrying an AR-15. Because the 17-year-old can carry an AR-15, shoot off shots, shoot off rounds, shoot 3 people, and still walk back, get a drink, and they say thank you. Let me walk past the cop and think my life is going to be okay. Let me walk past, if I'm walking down the street, let me walk past a white person. I can guarantee you they're going to cross the street if it's available. And it bothers me because we just forget about how serious this life is. Like, we are fighting for our lives. Every black person right now is so scared to get into a confrontation with a cop because you don't know what to expect. We done seen every way you can think of interacting with a cop the right way. We have still seen black people get shot. You can beg that you can't breathe twice. And you get suffocated twice to the point where you can stop breathing for 2 minutes and 40 seconds and have somebody standing on your neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds and no one cares. We seen a guy say, I can't breathe 47 times and it's still okay. Right? We seen a 9-year-old kid playing with a toy gun and get shot by the cops because they think it's real. We done seen a guy gets shot because he's told, oh, he says, I have a weapon. Okay, well, show us your weapon. He goes to reach for it. He gets shot. We done seen every single way you can think of. Y'all can name them. We done seen a black person get killed in every single way. And how much justice. Michael Vick has served more jail time for dogfighting than any cop who has murdered any black person from 2013 to now in 7 years. And how many killings have there been?
Too many.
Too many.
Too many. If you tell me there's one, it's too many. And Robbie, I really want to let you talk because I'm sorry, guys, but I really wanted to do this because it means so much to me. Because everybody always, like for me, right? People talk about how I have this great relationship with all these white people. It's because these white people understand who I am. They don't understand me. They don't know what it's like to be me, but they have treated me as a person and has treated me as if I'm one of their own because that's how they were raised. The hardest people to deal with are people who feel like, oh, racism doesn't exist. Soon as somebody says that to me, I know exactly what type of person we're dealing with. Because you're just blind and you're just stupid. So, Rob, you can go ahead and go ahead and talk, man.
Yeah, I got one short point left to make, and it's on how policing gets punished when it's, or how it doesn't get punished when it's wrong. When a doctor is the cause of somebody's death or is the cause of somebody having some undue reaction to a surgery or to a diagnosis or a medication, they are in jeopardy of losing their license and their livelihood. And we see cops with dozens sometimes of complaints on their records over the course of a number of years on the force. And it takes them actually kneeling on a man's neck and killing him for them to get any sort of repercussion. And if we're not going to hold that occupation, an occupation where after their vigorous 6-month training course, they get to walk around with a firearm, sometimes 2 firearms, depending on what else they've got issued in their car. How are we not going to hold them to a higher standard than anyone else who has lives on the line in their occupation on a day-to-day basis? You are threatening people's lives when you are a doctor, and you are threatening people's lives when you are a police officer, and you can save lives doing both jobs too. But if you threaten those lives, and if you end up as the wrongful party in a death dismemberment or other physical malady, whatever your occupation is, I don't care if you're a doctor, if you're a cop, if you're a burger flipper, if you cause harm, you should lose your job. You should at least lose your job. I don't understand how that's such a hard concept. Like, how are we given so many seconds and thirds and fourth and fifth and sixth and 17th chances when there's records like that? And then are we shocked when it happens and somebody loses their life after all these complaints? I'm not. Right. I'm just mad. I'm not shocked. I'm mad. That's it. That's all the point I got. That's all I got for this.
I think, like on my take on it, like I said, like I had law enforcement background. I like looked at all of it, and I mean, the biggest thing that I hate to say is that the biggest thing that police have that is their saving grace, is 2 things. You have your union, which your union will protect you, to as best as they can, and you have your report writing. You write a great report, believe me, it's gonna get justified. And that's a scary thing to say. I've talked to a few cops, I've worked with a few cops, I've, doing different things, and police have always said, hey, if you get into this tonight, don't worry about it. I write a great report. I mean, that right there shows me I can do what I want. I can type this report exactly how it's supposed to sound. And the union and the FOP will protect me, and I will not get charged. I will not see any type of repercussion. And that's why they can get away with 17 complaints. Because all you got to do is do a little desk duty, do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, do what the IA tells you to do, and then move on. And that's that. And I hate that. I hate the fact that it takes you 6 months to become a police officer. It should take you 2 years to become a police officer.
At least.
I went through 2 years of college to get a degree in criminal justice, and I understand more about policing than a guy who came straight out of high school, who got bullied and wants to be in charge in 6 months, and he's an officer. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you go about, how you put that gun, you put that duty belt on in day, you put that uniform on every day. You know you're serving your community. You're not there to hurt it. You're not there to punish it. And it's horrible that there's people who put that uniform on every day going, hey, well, if it goes down, I know what I'm going to do today. And that's that. I can't stand it.
To, I guess, expand on the topic before I'm completely done. To get away from even just arguing against the police, because it's poor how it's handled nowadays. But just the education system in general, at least in America, we have this issue and this disparity of education, that weird, like, taught and we learn the glorification of white success. We had Christopher Columbus Day, which is a celebrated holiday for some reason, but nobody ever talks about it until most recently, like 2 years ago.
Yo, I could drop a whole 45 segment on why Christopher Columbus Day should not be a thing.
That he's a fucking murderer and rapist and all this
Don't
stuff.
get into that right now, though.
Yeah.
People that are being killed.
That's a whole nother show.
We're taught to glorify, like, Thomas Edison for creating the light bulb, even though he wasn't alone in creating it. Like, Robbie, do you know who Lewis Latimer is? Sean, do you know who Lewis Latimer is?
Yeah. He was like the person behind it.
Yeah, he's the guy that created the filament that would light a light bulb, and nobody gives him the success. There's just so much else. Like, we're always taught, at least through, like, catechism, even in the church.
Yeah.
You're taught Jesus is a white man, even though he's from the Middle East.
And he's brown.
Jew, he's not Christian. He's brown.
I can't talk about your church, but in my church, it was really just implied by the statues.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying like you're told he's white. Jesus,
small nose, pale skin.
You learn it because of everything that he's, like, shown as.
But
it's just
slim
such
figure.
Poor education from day one that you
Bordering
learn
on indoctrination.
Have this white glorification, and I don't want it to be sounding like, oh, white guilt. It's not. It's just me telling the truth of what happens.
Yeah, it's like not guilt, it's learning.
I have so many of my closest friends that are Black or Middle Eastern or Indian, and they get looked at so odd because of their skin color, or they don't have the exact American accent. Like, oh, you don't speak English, but we're not even speaking English. We're talking in our American language of our rendition of English. Like, is that not something that's understood by a lot of people?
Yeah, you want to talk actual English? Check out RP. Received pronunciation.
Yeah.
That's difficult. And anyone in America who wants to try RP that's not a seasoned Broadway actor is going to struggle. So none of us really speak English.
Me and Robbie, we were hanging out earlier, and I scrolled past this thing, and somebody was asking a question: if in American schools, should we be taught Arabic digits for our numbers? Like, should we be taught Arabic numerals?
That was like the sad kind of funny.
And I hadn't even known this, which is poor, but we use them every day. Like 0 through 9 are Arabic numerals, and everybody judges it because, oh, it's Arabic, that we shouldn't use it, but we are already. Like, that's not something that's understood, and it's.
And most of the people that would say they don't want to use Arabic numerals don't know how to count with Roman numerals either, so they just wouldn't do numbers anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, not for nothing.
That's all that I have to say. Like, there's nothing else that I really even have to say except of, like, I feel for Stephen A. Smith. His videos have all been super empowering. Doc Rivers' speech was really empowering. Kenny Smith walked off set for NBA Tonight. And me and Robbie had even talked about not doing this again tonight, even though we canceled it for yesterday, just because everything's going on, and we feel like we should also be joining this. Oh, let's just walk off and not like show our message instead of talking about it. But obviously we're here because our voices need to be heard, just like everybody else that's standing like protesting their game, standing off the court, kneeling for the national anthem. Like everybody's voice needs to be heard, and that's all really for me.
In a country that says from a young age to celebrate diversity, I would love to see us actually celebrate diversity
Yeah.
instead of just giving it lip service in second grade.
I think the biggest thing now in America is we have lost humanity here in the United States. You know, you see it like you could watch videos around the world of humanity going on every day. I mean, just being kind to one another, just being humble, like that's so far fetched anymore. You can't even help anybody without them saying, okay, what do you want in return?
Yeah.
You know, and I can't stand it. Like I'm a good person. I'm a person who all I want to do, I want to help people in life. That's all I want to do. That's my goal. That's why I became that's why I did firefighting, police. That's why I did EMT. I want to help people. But now it's you walk down the street, you say hi to somebody, and they're ready to like flick you off. They're ready to like you got so many Karens in this world that you can't even. Me as a black guy walking in my neighborhood, I could probably run around like 4 Karens, and they're gonna wonder where I live or question where I live. So it's one of those things where like we lost respect for like us as humanity, lost respect for everybody.
Common
I don't know.
decency.
I don't know. I can't say it came from this president alone.
No.
I
It started
can't.
a long time ago.
It started a long time ago, but I feel that this president now has brought out true colors of people,
a lot of it,
and has said, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Even,
on both sides of the party. I can't just say one.
No, it's not one-sided. That's the problem. Like, but to piggyback on your presidency, like it really showed whenever Obama was elected. Look at all the people that were holding like rag dolls of him lynched, or whenever Ebola came around, or whichever one it was, 4 people died of whichever sickness it was, and they were asking him to resign, or a whole bunch of other stuff had gone on whenever Hillary was in charge of Benghazi, and 4 people died under her watch or whichever responsibility. They're asking to put her in prison, but 180,000 people have now died from this coronavirus, which I understand could, and I say in all caps, could be an exaggerated number, because nobody actually knows the 100% truth of it. But everybody's like, oh, it's not an issue to me. This isn't an issue. That's not a problem.
It's just like the racial issue. As soon as it is, until it affects you, you don't see it for so many people.
Yep.
Yes. I see. We've seen it
until you experience it.
Yeah. It happened here in Pittsburgh.
You shouldn't have to experience something to feel for somebody who's experiencing something.
Yeah, it happened right. Yeah, it happened right here.
The lack of empathy is what's killing is what's driving the wedge.
Yeah,
I think we saw it in Chicago. I think I saw an issue where I saw the mayor of Chicago. She did not care anything going on in the city that was going on, the killings, the shootings, people dying every single day in Chicago. As soon as protesters hit our streets, I need a police here. I need you only care when it's for you.
Yeah.
And it happened here in Pittsburgh as well. The mayor didn't care what happened, but as soon as they hit his neighborhood, he did care. It crossed the line. So, that's the problem with us. That's what the problem with all of us is. We're out for ourselves and not looking out for our neighbors, which we should have been, which we should have been doing a long time ago.
Yeah. That's why
I know when people love to say this is the last point that I've got, and I'm going to hop off. But this is what's amazing to me is when people are talking, older folks are talking about, well, when I was a kid, we could leave the front door in my house unlocked and no one would come in because we trusted the neighborhood. You trusted the neighborhood because you could trust your neighbors.
Yep.
People were decent to each other.
Yep.
Nothing. It's not people moved in that were bad. There's a lack of trust now. There's not more criminals now than there were then. There's just more people.
More recording.
There's more recording, yeah. But There's a lack of decency. If there was more decency, if there was more empathy, and frankly, if there was more sense, I'm going to say sense because common sense is a pipe dream. If there was more decency, empathy, and sense, we'd be in a much better spot as a country, as a race, human race, as a people, as a species. We're evolving. The mindset's got to evolve too.
Yep.
That's all I got. Good night, y'all.
Night. Yeah, I think the only other last point I have is that you have, if it wasn't for social media, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion. We wouldn't know.
Somebody made the quote, I don't remember who it was, but they were saying that with the invention and creation of social media, the world is more in touch but separated at the same time, and it hits home because as quickly as everyone can reach out to everybody, we are so much more separated as people because of all the stuff that gets said online. And we've seen it in our page today or yesterday. So many poor arguments that could have been just solely avoided, even though social media is a good thing to an extent because stuff like our page can happen and grow. But little instances like the arguments happen, and it makes it a bad view, but it can be easily avoided.
Yeah. So anybody who, like we said before, if you post something, it's fun. Sport. We are a sports related page. If it has to do with social justice, feel free, because it is in sports. But everybody just respect one another. That's all we ask of our page. Is everybody continuously respects one another, continuously does not attack anybody at all on their page. That's all we ask. We're a family of loudmouth, and I consider these guys my brothers, and I can tell you that we're a family. We don't want any bad. We don't want the disrespect. We just want everybody to get along and enjoy a little bit of something that's not horrible in this world that we could talk about. So that's pretty much all I got, man. So you have a great night, Dame.
You too, man. Courtney's gone doing something, so I'll end the show. Like the beginning of the show, we said as a page, me, George, Sean, Courtney, Robbie, Luch, and Rob from Muckin' and Grindin', our hockey show. We fully back and support the athletes that are choosing to protest. Even though what's going on is so personal, people's voices and people's stands in public need to be heard. So just respect their decisions, respect everybody else. And like Courtney said, we completely believe in Black Lives Matter. We completely support it. We support everybody as people. So thank you for tuning in. That's all for tonight. Talk to you later.